So I have a theory. When you come into your garden, and the gate's usually closed, but we have it open today because we have been working like crazy. There's a lovely plan for that fellow right there. And that's going to be a lovely picnic table with an umbrella in the middle. And we're going to make a top and we're going to paint it. It'll be the girls' project, strangely. But anyway, my theory is you come into the garden and you look at it and it kind of tells you what it needs to do, even though I had plans for everything I was going to do today and yesterday. But I came out here and our strawberries are just going wild. I mean, they're all greening up. And we planted these last spring and I had 10 plants in here. And kid you not, runners all over the place and runners on top of runners. They were just a happy bed. We had lots of lovely strawberries last year, but too full. So I don't know if you can see some of the thinned out spots where it's a little more bare. I have transplanted the heck out of these strawberries because honestly, they would send runners over the edge and they would go into the dirt right here and here. Look at this. Like, this is how happy. Let me move this. There's a hole in the log and there's a plant in there. And there's another one between. I'm gonna leave that one because it has enough shade. I think it'll do fine. So we thinned this out a bunch. And as a result, we needed to have somewhere to transplant them. So I had this little patch here that I grew Brussels sprouts that I had some extra ones. And I grew Brussels sprouts over here for the chickens. So I didn't tend to them and they weren't really all that beautiful, but the chickens were happy with them. So I have put 10 plants in here and they are happy. It's not a big spot. So we just put some little pads here just to land so we don't stand on things and everybody knows where to stand. So you can't really see them terribly. They're not giant, but they're super healthy. Happy. I don't know if you can see that pretty good. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. And I trimmed off anything extra or leaves that were damaged. So they're gonna do great. We're gonna have lots and lots of strawberries, and these are everbearing. So they continue to produce for quite a bit. Yep, trusty bags secured. And then this bed I had planned to do peas on because it just looks like it wants to have peas planted because we've got our fence here. But we had all these extra strawberries, so there we go. So there is quite literally 15 strawberries that I planted here and spaced them really nice. So there's one there all along the top because that'll kind of slant in and it'll throw runners out. And there's one about every, I don't know, 8 inches or so here. And we just mulched them really well with some good horse hay. So that's what's happened with the strawberries. All right, we got some hard-working girls. Rachel's got the pitchfork over there with our gigantic horse hay. She's making big old piles of it. Good job, Rach. And Mary is hauling that wheelbarrow down that giant hill and bringing it, wait, bring it to the potato bed. So we are creating, Mama. That's okay, I'll shoo them out. There ain't nothing going on right now. Yeah, the chickens, they've been locked up for a few days to retrain them that they lay their eggs in their nesting boxes, and they have new nesting boxes. This is Mr. Sunflash, who has healed beautifully with our holistic treatments. I don't think he's going to hold still. Maybe he will. You can see that all of that dead tissue is just coming right off, not zero signs of infection. Okay, so what we're doing today, and this is actually our week 2. So today is March 8th. So it's beginning our week 2. Thank you, Mary. You can leave it right there. Thank you, Mary. You can leave it right there. So what we're doing, the girls have already tapped in the T-post, and these are 4-foot T-posts, and we are creating about a 2.5 by about 50 feet. It's going to keep going all the way to right there at the end of our fenced-in garden, and this is going to be Potato Lane. So how we're creating this bed on a dime, besides our very inexpensive $2.50 T-post, and we have 7 of those, we have soaked some cardboard. You can see that down there, and that's how we're basically making our boundary line. And we've got about 6 inches of wood chips that are over a year old that are underneath, and I'm digging up some of those wood chips that have already composted, and I'm putting them right on top of my soaked cardboard. So I just have a big bucket big barrel more like, that I'm soaking old cardboard in. And I'm putting wood chips on top just to make it drought proof. Because we have, he's got a new rooster collar coming in. This one, he keeps shimmying it around. But we've got one that apparently works really well from my pet chicken. So I'll let you know. We'll be putting that on him as soon as it gets in. Of course, the shipping on that's really slow. It was through Amazon. So anyway, now we're covering it with horse hay. And we'll be putting our seed potatoes in next week, which is for our area, is the right time. But we're gonna drench this and keep drenching it. But before we put our seed potatoes down, we're gonna put a couple inches of compost and put our seed potatoes on top, and then water them in good, and then put more hay on top. And basically, as they start to as they start to sprout and put out their greenery, we'll just keep haying them up and mounding it up. And this hay that we have on purpose, I bought 2019 hay, so it will break down and compost for me, because that's what we're using it for. So anyway, we're gonna go all the way up here. So we've gotten about 2/3 of it done, and the three of us have done it in a little over an hour. And then up here, that's just some broken down cardboard and stuff, and that's our cardboard pile that we keep, but some of that just gets disposed of because it's got color. You don't want any of that. And these little ladies, I think they need to check out this bed, but nothing's been planted. That's why they've been trained back into their lovely little village over there. And I actually did a video this morning, but I think I'm gonna redo it, so I'm gonna stop now. If y'all can, oh, thank you, Rachel. So she's been getting tons of hay, kid you not. So this is going to be right here. So this is, we did this, what do you think, Rachel, about an hour?
Yeah.
Keith came, Hubs, and rescued us and did some of the big ones. But this is a walnut tree we took down that was deeply diseased, but it's got some cool, funky designs. So that's what I always do. I have accent logs that I love, and then I fill in with just little fillers. That's a filler. That's a filler. But this one, isn't that cool? That came from a neighbor recently who took a tree down. This one's pretty rotten. This one was at the bottom of that walnut tree we took down last year. And here's a few more pieces. They've aged over the last year. This is more of the same walnut tree, and we've used so much of it. And then of course some more fillers. This is a neighbor who gave us logs because he knows we upcycle everything. We are a believer in permaculture. This one is Rachel's favorite. Why is it your favorite?
Because it looks like you're going like this. So.
There we go. What's that sign mean? Like hello? How are you doing?
I mean, just...
It's cute.
Yeah.
Okay. Emojiness. So anyway, that's Rachel's favorite. There is one walnut log that we're going to bring over that looks like an owl's face. But I'm going to probably get Rachel to paint that one, right? You're going to paint it for me? All right, so this is going to be, we're going to water this in. We had to get an extension. One of our hoses died. It wasn't very long, but it was just enough to get me to the back of the garden, which is kind of essential when you're trying to compost hay. So it's using the straw bale technique of gardening, except we're not exclusively using it. We're just using it as our cover, and we want it to compost down into some really good soil. So we've got compost under there, we've got hugelkultur going on underneath, but this bed does not have hugelkultur at all. It's a quick put it up in an hour. What do you think, about an hour?
Yeah.
I mean, if you already had the logs. And definitely when you're getting somebody to cut some logs, you want them just to be a little bit close to knee high. And these little corner pieces are great for collecting your produce or sitting, you know what I mean? So we're gonna fill this up probably about 4 feet high, water it in, let it compost down, and we'll just keep adding layers. And that's usually the ideal when you're doing straw bale gardening. You can create in one season dirt. So we won't plant this until May. This will most likely be our squash bed. It's just really big and squash-like space. So that's what we got going on here. Now this is a really funky little log. And I don't know, what do you think, Rach? We should probably plant sunflower?
Oh, yeah.
So a sunflower is going to probably go into that log. And I can't recall if I pointed this out the other day. I probably did with the last week's garden tour. But isn't that cute? Those sweet little strawberries went into this hollowed out log, and it was very hollow, so it will totally do fine. And I'll just keep making sure I give it some good fish emulsion to keep it fertilized, since it doesn't have as much soil as it's going to get. So anyway, that's what's on the project for today. Day 1 for week 2 is finishing off that potato bed. And what we're going to do is just going to cut some fencing like you see right here. This is 5-foot fencing. and we're gonna cut that in half with some wire cutters, and it will be 4-foot fencing. We'll put the sharp sides to the ground, so be careful to do that. And then that's going to hold all of our hay that we're gonna keep composting. And we're gonna, like I said, we'll put our seed potatoes in next week, and I'll show you that. That'll probably be week 3. All right, this little clip is signing off. That's a beautiful thing when you got a teenager that loves the garden with you. So Rachel is putting out some organic composted horse manure. We will also use some fish manure that we'll make an emulsion with to kind of get some bioavailable nutrients for our potatoes. So this is finishing off our potato bed. We've got about, I don't know, a good 20 feet that way and another 20 that way. We've got 6 pounds of seed potatoes coming in of all different varieties, and I always have a few potatoes that I always glean from just potatoes that decided to sprout, and they're my favorite variety. So anyway, we're just breaking this up, sinking it down into the hay, and then underneath are composted wood chips about 4 inches or so, maybe 6 in some spots, that have been here for over a year. And then we put soaked cardboard down, and the reason you do that is just to prevent any weeds from coming up, and honestly it makes it kind of drought proof. And then we put another thin layer of composted wood chips down, and then we're putting a good, I would say 10 inches or so of horse hay, and then we're going to water that in daily. And then when we plant our seed potatoes next week, you'll see how we do that, but we're just going to put down some compost, probably mixed with a little bit of organic potting soil, and our compost is just organic. And then we'll plant our seed potatoes, and we'll cover them up with hay and water them in. The best potato crop I ever got was planting it in hay and sheet composting, because that's basically what we're doing. So there we go. Thank you, girls. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you, Mary Berry. Thank you, Rachel. Hard-working girl. Look at there. Knows how to use a pitchfork. Come on. Mary, good job hauling that hay over here, baby. Thank you. Many hands make
Light work.
There we go. And fun. This is organic composted horse manure. Well, just to show you a little progress on the usage of our horse hay bales. So this bale right here is down by about 50%. It used to be about this tall, as you can see the height of this one and the diameter. We had a really good rain last night, praise God. So these 2 bales are the ones we're using this season. We're going to be reseeding our yard, and that's the best way to reseed your yard if you've never done it before, is you throw your seed down, kind of aggravate the soil a little bit where you see these little dirt patches with a rake, and then throw your seed down, lightly, and then just cover it with a good layer of hay. And then as that hay decomposes, it'll be a cover, very much like sheet composting. Lasagna gardening, but not necessarily the full lasagna, just sheet composting, where you're layering it up and protecting the soil and protecting the seeds so that it can sprout. So yeah, we've got quite a few bare patches all over the yard, and we'll probably help out our neighbor next door. He's elderly and is got some serious health conditions, so we're going to probably do a few of his patches over here, because we are blessed with lots of horse hay. So anyway, we have taken this down easily by 50%, and the rain coming is actually a blessing, because it will help this hay compost, because we want it to compost this season, and water is how you compost. So I'm going to go and show you what we did with our other 2 bales. We have them in a storage spot. This is right here near our back gate, but we are blessed with 2 gates on this property, so I'm going to show you the rest of them. Okay, so we're headed over to the other hay bales, and these are in a storage spot. Yeah, it's kind of shady now. So we're going to put a privacy fence up right about here. Let's see if I can get my finger up. Because technically we're not allowed to have this in our front yard, even though it's in our side yard. So we had the most torrential rain last night, and thankfully my tarps came in. So these are 2 more hay bales here. You can see it a little bit better over here. And all we needed to do was just protect the top 2/3. And it's fine if the bottom starts to decompose. That's actually going to make it useful for us next season. But this is next year's hay, and I mean, I highly recommend doing this. That is Moondog, our neighbor dog. But this is the other gate we have here by the chicken fence. So anyway, this is going to be super helpful to have it right here. And we'll put a tiny little fence up there so that we do not get in trouble with the city. All right, so I've been going through all of my seeds, getting them organized by what I'm about to put out. So direct sow for early spring. So for us, this is the date to do direct sow for peas and carrots. I have several varieties, so this is the way that it works for me, and that way they don't get damaged. I've got some rocket arugula from several suppliers, but it's all the same thing, so I'm going to use up what I have from last year that did amazing. I've got several varieties of spinach. A couple of them are new to us, so looking forward to giving those a go. I'll let you know how that goes. Tons of different varieties of kale. I'll probably sow 3 different ones this year. Beets, just a couple of standards that have worked great, nothing fancy. I got some salad mix seeds that somebody shared with me last year, some good blends. And then a couple that I know my family likes, so we're going to be putting those out. And of course, you know, the faithful radishes. What we do with them, honestly, is we make a relish with them that's amazing, and it has some ginger in it that's super yummy. But I'm going to work them into carrot salads because I know they're good for you. We love carrot salad. We eat that 3 or 4 times a week. So I'm going to work them into that. So I've got a couple, 2 or 3 different varieties of that. Then I made some homemade, just laminated it so it doesn't get ruined in all the rain. But just a spacing chart so it can be laid down on the ground because I have little hands that are going to help me today. So these are all the typical spacings for everything. So I made a couple of those. And this is just a basket I bought from the dollar store just to hold my stuff in, and if it gets destroyed, it's not a big deal. So we've had a ton of rain for week 2. Goodness gracious. So we planned to get some direct sowing in this morning, but we just had, all we had was rain. But honestly, it's going to be great because our beds are going to be nice and wet and moist and ready to go. We'll have rain for the next few days, and then it'll warm up. So this is what we are going to be direct sowing right now. That's direct sow date is 3/15, so we're a day or so early, but the weather's fine. The rest of the week's going to be great. Carrots like a little spout of cold anyway, and so do peas. So we're putting in carrots, arugula, beets, several varieties of lettuce, peas, I think I already mentioned that, a few varieties of kale, a couple of varieties of radish, and several varieties of spinach. So we're about to get cranking in our meanderings in the backyard. So come on in, come on and join us. Give us. That sounded goofy. Ignore that typo. All right, off we go. Everybody's in the backyard waiting. All right, it's finished. This is one of 2 pea wagon wheels. So necessity is the mother of invention. Rachel, say hi.
Hi.
Brave, say hi. Come here, Brave. Meow, meow. She's like, this is awesome. All right, so that's some compost. We put cardboard down. We raked it really good. Cardboard, a ton of hay, probably a good 12 inches of hay, and then compost. We're not going to move the compost. It's going to rain a ton tomorrow. So I want my compost to get really hydrated. We'll plant our peas probably Tuesday. That's the next day that it will be cool. And we're actually a little early for our zone. So really the next couple of days would be the earliest. But we're just trying to use our weekends well. And we do a lot of gardening in the evening, as you can see. So this is the second one. You can't see this one as good because the lighting over here is not as good. Hi, Med Bear. Who
Hi.
you got? Oh, your ball. Can you say hi?
Hi.
This bed right here is loaded with carrot seeds, like 5 different varieties. Hey,
Hi.
you gonna help Mommy today in the garden?
Yeah.
I love that sweatshirt Uncle Mark and Aunt Erin got you. Back up a little bit. Let me get a picture. Oh my gosh. This is my sunflower girl. Bright, bright, bright. Anything she can find to put on her boots. She picked those out too. My Aunt Jane in Pennsylvania would be super happy right now. All right, say goodbye.
Bye.
Ready to get to work. It is cold, but it stopped raining for a couple hours. We're gonna get some work done in the garden. What you doing, Med Bear?
I am planting.
Those are some happy peas. How many inches apart are they?
3.
3 inches?
Yes.
Cool. So this is our pea wagon that we finished off last night. Put cardboard underneath, and there was good soil underneath because we've had wood chips here for the last year and a half. Then we put a ton of hay down, and it rained really good last night, so we put probably a good 1.5 feet of hay, and it's already packed down to about 4 inches. And then we are putting compost, only compost, where we're planting them. Peas are a very high feeder. They need really good soil. So that's what we're planting it in, about 6 inches of good compost. And we've only got it here and over here. What's going on?
Sarah was stalking Daisy.
You know, that's what Sarah does. She's the keeper of the yard. She's telling that cat who's in charge. There you go.
I'm done.
Uh-oh, the rain's trying to come. We're trying to get things done before the rain comes. Okay, so you got all that row? Okay, now you're going to work on the back side. And I'm going to come over here and plant a different variety right here. So this is where we started. We left our bags open during the night so that they would get wet with the rain. And I'm going to fill just this side with about 6 inches high of compost. And same over here, right where we're going to plant. And then the middle will be our path. And eventually we'll plant something else here. Who knows? We'll see. Whenever the peas are done, we'll make a plan for that. But that's where we're at right now. There's my hat. It's a little chilly today. And Rachel is over there getting our first tree log bed that we ever made. Was right here. It's not real big. We had Jerusalem artichoke here. Rachel, where's your Jerusalem artichoke? Did you plant them all?
It's one of them was planted.
Where's your other ones? Can we see it?
Here.
I saved some, but these are what was still in the bed in great shape, even though we had -8 degrees. This is a plant you want to grow, but you do not want to grow it where you don't want it to overtake. They get 20-25 feet high. So this bed is getting prepared for a different variety of spinach because we are big cooked spinach eaters. We don't eat it raw, but we wear it out cooked. So Rachel's getting the bed ready. She found a few potatoes that we had grown in here. All right, it's starting to rain. Let me get off the phone. The end. Many hands make light work. That's Mom's favorite phrase, right? Right from the book of Proverbs. The end.